So we're heading in. This is going to be this week's video. Today's kind of wrapping up a super busy week. I don't have any videos of actually taking the tracks off the skid steer. I know that was something that was very of much interest, but we were kind of in a rush when we were doing it, so did not get any videos of that. We had a really good week. Shout out to Taylor and Ronan Hill. They came and helped do some logging. Had a little campfire up there. We had just a good time on Monday. Tuesday was town meeting day, and nothing significant there, but you know, you gotta complain about something to the town. So that was good, and now we're just heading back in this morning to wrap up the week. I'm gonna cut a little bit of bark today, not a whole lot, just enough to kind of keep things going, and gotta get ready for tax season. Or it is tax season, so gotta get an accountant figured out. I used to do all my taxes through this place in Florida, and it was pretty cheap. It was like $300 a year. Farm I used to do did about $4 million of income. That being said, besides hired help, there really wasn't, a lot of vendors to deal with. I'd probably only write 40 checks a month, maybe 50 checks a month. But I would say it was only to 5 or 6 people besides the employees. So it really was pretty simple. Getting an accountant up here, it sounds like it's going to be an expensive deal. So I'm actually going to try to do virtual accounting on QuickBooks. I failed. I shouldn't say I failed. I barely passed accounting during my MBA. Didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Hey, that's great. Like, you don't need to be smart in everything. Even some of the guys that got like 780s on the GMAT didn't do well on the accounting deal. It's everybody's got a little bit of different flavor of what they can do in life, and I don't mind working with numbers and crunching data, but when it comes to actually like crunching it for the tax system, I'm lost, man. And I think that's a normal thing. I think if you said, hey, I know exactly how the tax code works, they're like, okay, you're not normal. So anyway, I'll have to do that. And then this afternoon, I got an appointment to go to, and kind of going to wrap up our day at the mill by noon, and just have a chill day. Life's too short to not enjoy it. Yesterday we got a lot of stuff done. We did a big day of production, and we got our garage door fixed. Now, I'm no garage door mechanic. It took me a long time to fix it, but the part of the spring assembly broke, so we had to put a new piece of wood in it. We got some video of that. But yeah, we got it all tightened up, fixed. So garage door's working good. And today I bought in some wood from a local logger, and we're gonna scale that. So I'm gonna show you guys kind of how we scale logs for the Cambium business. It's a little different than just taking it to a log yard. We have different criteria we look for. However, we are the best deal in town for spruce trees. Logger brings it to me, he's gonna get more bang for his buck than anywhere else. So if you know a logger looking to get rid of some spruce up in the Northeast Kingdom, give me a call. I'm not always buying because we don't use a lot, but for softwood, we definitely are the best bang for their buck. So yeah. An interesting one I heard yesterday is ash. Loggers are getting about $1,800, $1,000 for it, which I thought that was astronomical. Of course, getting ash right now. Oh, there's the plow truck. He wanted to come right up there. He didn't want to stop. Oops. Getting ash is more and more. So getting ash is more and more challenging because we have the emerald ash borer, and it's killed a lot of trees in southern Vermont. Which, in my mind, that would make the price go down, because if you're logging it off because it's just going to die anyway, you know, supply and demand, right? So, but apparently ash is paying really well right now. So yeah, that was just kind of newsy to me. And that's not veneer grade either, which I don't know if ash is a log you can veneer or not. I'm sure it probably is. But yeah, it's not veneer grade. And I would think as a logger with a cable skidder, even if it was just a one guy operation, given that ash does not have many limbs in it, I feel like you could go out and pull 3,000 feet a day. So, I mean, if you're doing that, you're going to be making $5,400 gross a day. That's pretty good money. Now, finding a stand of ash is probably challenging. Next time I see the forester, we're hopefully going to have a meeting with him and see what he says. But I would think finding an ash stand would be pretty challenging. Now that I'm in the forestry business, just driving the pickup around, I'm always like, you know, looking for different spruce trees and stuff. I don't see a lot of ash. I know on my dad's farm, you'd be hard pressed to find more than 10 ash trees. So I think that would be a challenge. There's a lot of birch and maple in this area, but I have not seen a lot of ash. So that's one thing that I think is a challenge. It might look like good money, but if you're out in a stand and it's not pure ash, or it's not at least 50% ash, it's going to be slow logging. So there's a reason they're paying so much for it, because if you can't get it out quickly or there's not a lot available, well, that's why, right? Supply and demand. But yeah, like when I was in elementary school, this is where all the kids got on the bus to go to school. Like, it was here. Yeah, so we got that. And then the Bend, this is the Smith store. Great people. Big shout out. They always get me coffee there. Always good. And the mill is on our left here. So you can see this is where we got some of the wood we brought in. Straight ahead is the debarker. Back when that was running, it still runs, just needs a little bit of paint. We're gonna get her going. But yeah, this is a sawmill, so it's an industrial site. It's the only one in my hometown, and there's a lot of positives about that. And you can see this is the wood also that we brought in. Over here, you can see this is the wood that we've already debarked. But yeah. Nope. It's gonna be close, that's all I can tell you. What's going on here? So this tree is a white spruce. This is a red spruce, I believe. I honestly don't know my trees that well. I know what a spruce is. I can tell Norway from white and red really well, but I'm pretty sure this is a red spruce. You can see this tree right here. It's got some more reddish tint up here. It's a lot harder to draw shade. We like to get them bucked off here because this part is just no good with cambium. As you can see, draw shading the red, it is thinner, and you got to be a lot more careful with it, but it's more like chipping. This is a pretty healthy red spruce, but yeah, like I said, white, really when we're buying it in, we want to get Norway or white. We will take the reds just because we want to keep our loggers happy, and it is challenging to find good spruce for what we're doing. So now that we have all the draw shaving done, see all the draw shaving done, for all the lumber that we're buying in, we're using Vermont Rural. That's the kind of scale. This one is just for 8-footers. Long story short, we just copied somebody else's 8-foot stick instead of buying our own. They're super expensive. They're like $100 for your own stick. So when we're scaling lumber, there's a few things we look at. First of all, is the log straight? Now, since we're doing this for Cambium, this layer, we don't care as much. And we want to be really fair to our loggers and make sure they keep bringing us wood, because there's not a lot of guys that only cut 5,000-10,000 feet a year. I mean, most people do that in a day nowadays. So on this wood, if you look at this piece, for example, this one doesn't even read on the scale, right? It's smaller than like 5 inches. However, we are going to pay for this. A lot of places would, a lot of lumber yards would say that is pulp. We, send it off for pulp. Looking at this wood, the only thing that I would really cut a scale for is if it's like super curvy. So if these logs weren't decently straight, I'd probably cut it. Or if all the cambium's peeled off because our loggers were reckless. We have special deals with everybody that they kind of know, hey, we want the outside part to be good. There's a few in here that are missing some pieces, but as long as it's 90% all there, we're gonna pay full. Even some of these logs are actually rotten in the center, and we're still paying full because the outside part is good. We'll get a couple of boards out of them, but they really wouldn't be any value. They would just be pulp. So we go into scale, slap on the stick, and this one is closer to 27 than 21. So this one has 27 board feet. This one's got, it's right in between 27 and 33. We're gonna go with 33. This one, it doesn't even register on the stick, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna give them 8 board feet for it. This one, barely on the stick, that's a 12. And 21. So that's kind of how you scale it. What I'll do is I'll write these down, and throughout the week as we go through them, I'll just keep scaling it. Also, one key thing to know, and I knew this before the video even started, we scale the small end of the logs. I think the way this guy was pulling it and loading his truck, all the small ends were pretty much this way, but these are all the small ends. Sometimes you have to go from one side to the other depending on the logs that are on them, but yeah, these are all the small ends. Other things that we might cut the scale for in the future if it's a big issue, if the log's not butted and we're losing a lot of lumber because it still has the notch in it, we would cut the scale for that. Also, if they're short, that would be another reason to cut the scale. So those are that's kind of how you do it. It's pretty simple. There is a lot of human error in it, but like I said, we want to treat our loggers fair, and even pieces like this that would be straight up pulp, we're going to take them. So we are wrapping up the week here, and it is warm out. Like, see, it's like 50 degrees out. So when I took over this Cambium business, didn't have a way to haul the lumber, right? Like, if you take a grapple like that, so that right there is a grapple, and you actually squeeze the trees and like load them onto a normal log truck, you lose a lot of bark. So what we did, and I think you guys have seen this in some videos, is, hauling it in a dump trailer so you can dump it out is the best idea, or the best way to do it, right? I mean, you aren't, you dump it into the trailer and you aren't having to go, grapple it on here. It keeps the bark a lot nicer and you save a lot of product. So back in the fall, this was kind of my first investment about this trailer. And at the time I had access to a truck, or else, looking back at it, if I'd known things were going to work out this way, I would have just bought a ton truck. But at the time I had an F-250 that I was allowed to use, kind of free of charge. We'll get into F-250s in a bit. I do want to talk about that maybe in my next video. But long story short, got a trailer. It was about 5 new, so it actually wasn't too bad, and a pretty heavy duty trailer. I went with brand new because every used one I found, first of all, it wasn't as tall. Like as you can see on this one, this is a big tall one with pretty rugged sides. A lot of them are just like 2 feet high, and I wanted to haul more wood because the more wood you can haul, the less gas you spend. So long story short, we want to keep it in good shape, so we're going to spray it off and get it done. There, so like you can see it's actually not like clean, but as long as like most of the salt is off, that's really kind of what we're going for here. This, when it gets a little warmer in the spring and there's not ice on the ground, definitely get in there and scrub it down. But who knows, maybe I'll use it in the next week or two and it would just kind of be a waste. So that's what we got going on. There you go. We got some weekend shenanigans. Also, we got the door fixed this week, as you can see. So much nicer. And we'll see you guys next week. Please hit like and subscribe.